Hello, Internet friends. I thought I'd touch briefly on coping with grief and loss. Now, we've all had losses in our life. Some of our losses have been huge, and some of them have been minor. It takes some living experience to be able to determine what is the size of our loss. Because sometimes if we lose a friend, that can be a huge loss. But if we've lost several friends because they're pieces of shit, then we don't see that as a loss. We see that as a gain. But for example, if we lose a loved one, say we lose a precious grandparent who just adored us and we adored them back, that's really a big hit. And that can take quite a while to recover from. My grandmother passed away a few years ago, and my son was so depressed and sad that he had to take 3 months off of school. It just hit him so hard. And then there are the losses that we don't deal with. For example, I had this puppy dog that died. I know that might sound ridiculous to people who don't have animals, but I had this dog that died, and I had her since she was a baby, and she lived to be 11 years old. So we had to take her to the vet because she got very sick and put her to sleep. And I held her in my arms when she took her last breath. And when I was at the vet, I cried, and I tried not to make too much noise, but it was really a deep pain. And then after I left the vet, I didn't talk to anybody about it. I didn't say anything. I didn't acknowledge how bad the loss was. And then about a year or so later, I was just doing I got a little job knocking on people's doors and giving them pamphlets, whatever. And this dog pops out, and it's exactly like the dog that I had to put to sleep at the vet. And I just burst out crying, just like I did at the vet. It was so embarrassing. But I hadn't dealt with the loss, and it just came right up to the surface. The last kind of loss that I want to talk about is the kind of loss that is so big that you just put on your running shoes and you run and run and run and run. And you're exhausted and you keep running. And for me, I had some losses where I've taken up extreme sports like whitewater boating and surfing because it scared me. And that was the only thing that was able to yank me out of feeling despair. Some people turn to drugs and alcohol, though. They go a different direction. They want to stop feeling. And so anyway, I just thought I would touch on that. I'm curious to know what you guys think about the most intense kind of loss and how you deal with it, or how you have dealt with it, or maybe you haven't had an experience so deeply hurtful that you haven't had to turn to extreme sports or drugs and alcohol to cope. All right, Internet friends, thanks for listening.